Now, Pakistan's been facing an energy crisis for a decade. Now, business owners in one of the country's largest cities are threatening to pull their support for the ruling party unless it can keep the lights on. Vanessa Keneally has more in this report.
The bustling metropolis of Lahore. It's Pakistan's second largest city and the political fortress of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. But just like the rest of the country, it's been plagued by power cuts for more than a decade. Small businesses, like this print shop, are among the worst hit. And its owner, Abdul Aziz, says patience is running out on the Prime Minister's pledge to end the energy crisis.
If power shortages come to an end by 2018, we will vote for him. Last time, we voted for him because he had promised that he would end power load shedding during his present tenure. So, if load shedding ends, we will vote for him. Otherwise, we will not.
Nawaz Sharif's third stint as Prime Minister began in 2013. Since then, 3 power plants have been built and a number of other power projects have been approved. But the gap between the demand and supply of electricity remains vast. The privatisation of inefficient state-run power companies appears to have stalled, and hikes in electricity tariffs have stirred protests and galvanised support for the opposition.
We pay 45 to 60% of our earnings for electricity bills. We cannot spend it on our children or on their education. Instead, we spend it on electricity, and yet we are facing power outages of 8 hours every day.
The drive to boost the supply of electricity has brought some results. Industrial areas are guaranteed power around the clock, and the lights stay on longer in urban areas now than they did a few years ago. But officials admit much more needs to be done to end Pakistan's decade of darkness.
We have to work in phases. The first phase would be availability of power, and the second would be then affordability, and then efficiency, and then the market system. So the first challenge is availability.
The government insists it will end power outages before 2018. For businesses struggling to stay afloat, that's a long way ahead. Halfway through that year, Pakistanis will vote in a general election. If the government doesn't deliver on its promise, it could be lights out for the ruling party. Vanessa Keneally, TRT World.
Well, we did ask Pakistan's top bureaucrat on energy how the government plans to pay for even more furnace oil imports to run more power plants, and also about the impact on the environment. Here's what he had to say.
You are right, we are quite conscious on that, and what we are doing is that, number one, we are trying to replace our existing fossil fuel from the costlier furnace oil to cheaper coal, and that too from our local coal resources, so that lowers our import bill as well. But at the same time, we are conscious about the share of clean fuels in our generation, and we are working on more than 11,000 megawatts of idle electricity and around 2,000 megawatts of renewable energy, that is solar, wind and biogas. But we have to work a lot on conservation and on demand management. And that's why the Parliament has passed a law for conservation and for more efficient use of more efficient appliances into the system. So we would be trying in the coming few years to bring in more efficient appliances into our system. One, the efficient use of electricity, and secondly, conservation habits have to be increased, have to be improved, I would say, in some places by enforcement and in some places by awareness.